One team in a state of purgatory, but the other one, the Dallas Cowboys, they're on the precipice for a state of emergency.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios.
The man your man could smell it.
Theo Dorsey is theoretically speaking.
But are you a different animal and the same beast?
Streaming live on YouTube.
You're gonna break up with me because of what I do on the radio?
Here's Theo Dorsey.
Good people. It's your boy Theo Dorsey. We got my boy C-Cat on the other side of the glass on the ones and twos. It's a Thursday night football on the television screens tonight in East Rutherford, New Jersey. That's a city that we would never talk about ever, would never get mentioned if they didn't have MetLife Stadium out there, right? Like,
yeah.
What else is in East Rutherford, New Jersey?
The highway. The highway, and there's this, I think, indoor skiing thing that was being built for the entirety of my kind of childhood.
Yeah.
And then I moved away when it was finally opened.
Okay. I would if I ever meet anybody from East Rutherford, New Jersey, which I don't even know if they have schools there or grocery stores or stoplights, I'll be impressed. It's one of those cities that it gets so much pub, but literally I've never heard it outside of the context of what we're getting tonight, a primetime football game. Cowboys at the Giants. One team very mundane, just waiting out the contract of Daniel Jones. And the other team, the Dallas Cowboys, they're both 1-2, by the way, the Cowboys and Giants. Well, they're on the precipice of a state of emergency, similar to 61 out of 67 counties here in the Sunshine State of Florida, because we got Hurricane Helene on the way. And, that's a good hurricane sound. Thank you, C-Cat.
Yeah, I didn't want to do the alarms. I think it's actually illegal if you play an alarm on the FCC-regulated thing.
Yes.
So, thunder crack, people. Thunder crack.
That thunder crack is the symbolization of what we are bracing ourselves for here in the state of Florida. South Florida, where we're at right now, here along the East Coast, a little safer, though everything got canceled between schools and football games tonight and whatnot. Even my event, by the way, we talked about the celebrity bartending event that was supposed to be the night in Riviera Beach. Sorry to tell you, we're going to have to postpone that with United Way, so I'll let y'all know when you can come through and get some of my smooth mixology. You got to wait a little bit. It'll be worth the wait. But there is a storm on the way, so prayers up for the Gulf Coast, prayers up for the west side of Florida. That's Hurricane Helene is expected to make some impact tonight. Category 2 right now. And I believe that there's a chance it can strengthen. It's supposed to strike tonight. They say 15 to 20 feet storm walls. I just hope for protection over that Gulf Coast because it got ugly last year with the last storm and 6 years ago as well. Just, again, for both the insurance rates and for the safety of people here in the Sunshine State, hoping it doesn't intensify or create any kind of damage or irreversible damage that we can't get back. But one thing I do think about as we turn this a little bit to football is the Dallas Cowboys. When you rate how panicked not just a team should be, but their fan base, their front office, also, honestly, the guys in that locker room, Dak Prescott, Ceedee Lamb, Micah Parsons, they are one of the squads that came in with so much expectations, right? They're going to have championship hopes. Jerry Jones, the owner, told us in this offseason, hey, we're all in. This is it. This is the year. You pay Dak Prescott $60+ million a year at the beginning of the year. You pay Ceedee Lamb to come back in there and be this elite level of connection, this top-level offense. And now you're staring in the face of potentially going 1-3, potentially tonight on the road against against the New York Giants. You're a 5.5-point favorite right now. If you lose this game tonight, because I don't think you should be in full-out panic mode. The Cowboys can't stop the run. They can't run the ball themselves. We joked right here on these airwaves here on Theoretically Speaking about them bringing in Dalvin Cook after already re-signing Ezekiel Elliott. And why would you start an old man's club? Why are you doing a Bengal haul in your backfield when you know that's not the way to rushing efficiency? And people got mad at us, C-Cat.
Yeah, they didn't like us poking fun at the ages of these 30-year-old men.
It's like, what the hell? First of all, who the hell was that defending Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook on our YouTube page? At Theo Speaking, by the way. You can subscribe today and maybe counterbalance the hate we received. Because wasn't that the same guy that criticized my hairline?
Yeah, you're gaining haters by the day. More haters than fans, so I think we should fix that.
That actually sucks. I hate that. And by the way, my hairline is not receding. It just was a little cowlick that day.
Not yet. No, we're
Great
good.
hairs. Don't say not yet, C-Cat. It's never going to recede. I would be in a state of emergency if that did happen. And I will say this. For the Dallas Cowboys, they are right there. They're on the brink of a state of emergency, and that's because this team has 3 or 4 things going wrong for it that I don't see a foreseeable fix in the near future. And they're in now a conference in a division where we just saw the Commanders. The very last football game we saw was the birth of a new star in the NFL in Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders as they put the Bengals into a state of panic, winning on Monday Night Football. Jaden Daniels to Terry McLaurin, that beautiful connection that we saw. Now there's a bit more pride around that organization as the Commanders are 2-1. You lose tonight as well, the Cowboys could drop into 4th in their division. They'll still have the problem where you have Tyler Guyton starting at left tackle for you, and when you go from Hall of Famer Tyron Smith to Tyler Guyton in 1 year, there's going to be a bit of a fall off. Why did we not expect that? You're all in, but you decided to start a first-round rookie at left tackle. Smart move, I guess. You also don't know the future of your franchise when it comes to your head coach and Mike McCarthy. You blend all of that with we're only 2.5 weeks into the NFL season, or 3 weeks in, excuse me. And you already have Jerry Jones stepping up to the mic, taking full accountability. You already have Micah Parsons on his podcast mid-season because, I'm telling you, the more hot mics, the more open mics we have for these active athletes, the more times they're going to get themselves in trouble. There's too many microphones in this world. We got to take some of these mics away. He's out here criticizing the effort of his teammates. We're 3 weeks in. And you have the play of Dak Prescott now being called into question. Ceedee Lamb trying to motivate himself ahead of a Giants matchup. Forgive me if I'm wrong, C-Cat. This is the same Giants team that the Cowboys laid to ruins twice last year.
And many times before last year.
Right.
The Cowboys have dominated New York.
They've won 6 in a row in this series. Last year, they started the season off by whooping their ass 40-0. They followed that up later in the season. I think it was 49-17 or something like that. They absolutely have dominated this Giant squad, and both teams look very similar. The only difference is the Cowboys have regressed since last year. The Giants have had a slight uptick in the form of number 1, Malik Neighbors, who looks like the second coming of Odell Beckham Jr. and Jamar Chase. And now you have an actual legit problem. The Cowboys, though they're favored, and though I do expect them to regain some chemistry, to regain some kind of flow, because Ceedee Lamb was out. And this is a state of desperation for them. They have their backs against the wall. The most dangerous man is a man with nothing to lose or a man with his back against the wall. That's when you really find out what somebody has in them. I expect the Cowboys to march in to East Rutherford, New Jersey, and come out with a win, and hopefully do so in demonstrative form. But if this game tonight is either close, C-Cat, or if they lose to the New York Giants, you can go ahead and mail in the season, and beyond that, you can go ahead and call it a state of emergency, a Category 5 hurricane, call for an evacuation. Call for an evacuation of everybody out of Arlington, Texas. Call for, you need to be hiding. You need to be tucking your tail and going for safety, because I don't see a way out of this, not only in this season, but moving forward for the Dallas Cowboys, who have Jerry Jones at the helm making decisions that feel more based on keeping the brand of the Cowboys high instead of their competence on the field. They had 3 back-to-back 12-win seasons, but no playoff success. This year, they might not get either. And that's going to be ugly for a franchise that keeps itself in the limelight that long. They are going to be a Category 5 level of panic if you compare it to a hurricane if they fall tonight. And I don't want to be around for that hurricane watch party. Ain't that what people do here in Florida? They do the hurricane watch parties?
Yeah, they buy all their snacks and they get in their PJs and they take Snapchats. Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah, I don't get how that's such a thing out here. I would not want to be a part of that tonight. If you're a Cowboys fan, I would say cover your eyes tonight, because if you don't see it going well past the first quarter, you don't want to stick around for the all the damage, all of the wreckage that's going to be left behind if that team can't beat Daniel Jones. By the way, if you can't stop the run and you've been hurt by dual threat quarterbacks, that's the worst time to see Daniel Jones on a short week.
Yeah, it is. Everything you've said made so much sense. In a normal world,
Thank you.
The Cowboys are in a bounce-back spot. They're coming up against a pretty soft opponent in comparison to the rest of the NFL, a beatable opponent who they've had the number as. So it makes sense for the 6-point favorite Dallas Cowboys to win on Thursday night on the short week. But this year of our Lord, 2024 for the NFL, has been anything but make sense. Underdogs of 5.5 or more points, a pretty high number in the NFL, are 14-2 against the spread.
Oh, my God.
So that tells you this game is almost going to be close if it's anything like we've seen the past 3 weeks of action. And those underdogs who are 6 points or more underdogs, they're 10-4 straight up.
Man.
So they've won 10
straight
out of those 14 games. The underdog has won.
So teams entering the game as a 6 or more or 5.5 point or more?
5.5.
5.5 and a point or more underdog have won straight up, not just more times than the favorite, but demonstratively more times.
Yes. 75% of the bets and a bunch of books are on the Cowboys to cover. So the sports books out there would love
for the
that. Giants to shock most of America and come out with a cover and a win.
Are they making the call?
Right?
That's
what it feels like. It's been a really wacky first couple of weeks. So don't be too surprised if Malik Neighbors, Daniel Jones, and that crew pull off a win.
And again, if and when they do, not only is a state of emergency, that is a Category 5 level storm. Evacuate, call in the National Guard, get everybody in line to protect the good people around Arlington, Texas. Protect my dog, Nicole Hutchinson, who's a team reporter out there for the Dallas Cowboys. I don't want anybody around that wreckage to be seen anywhere near it because it could get ugly tonight on Thursday Night Football. And the worst part is it's going to be prime time. So you already know everything leading off Friday is going to be about how dismal the Cowboys' effort was. And again, that's even if it's a close game. I don't care if they win. They have to beat up on the Giants for me to have any ounce of confidence in the Dallas Cowboys this year. 888-760-3776. 888-760-3776. What level of panic in comparison to a hurricane? I would say a Category 5 for the Cowboys. What level of panic would you assess the Cowboys to be in if they're not able to get this win tonight in a big fashion? I would say a win and a cover. They need to win and cover against the Giants.
Win by a touchdown.
Yeah,
that's going to cover.
Win by a full score, and I would feel more confident. If they don't do that, what level of panic should the Cowboys be in? I say it's a Category 5 hurricane. I'd say it's a mandatory evacuation. The governor's on TV, wall-to-wall coverage. It's ugly. What say you? Cowboys Giants tonight on Thursday Night Football. Hit us up on the Baptist Health Hotline here on Theoretically Speaking. 888-760-3776. 888-760-3776. That's the number to the Baptist Health Hotline. Are you experiencing foot and ankle pain and need to see an expert in the field? Baptist Health Orthopedic Care has a team of foot and ankle orthopedic surgeons and specialists who are regarded as leaders in their specialty. Visit baptisthealth.net/ortho to learn more today. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care combines its resources of experienced physicians and leading-edge treatments and technology to provide advanced orthopedic, foot and ankle, joint replacement, spine, and sports medicine care. Visit baptisthealth.net/ortho for more information today. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care has offices conveniently located in Palm Beach County through the Florida Keys. Learn more by visiting baptisthealth.net/ortho. What level of panic, what state of emergency, what category of storm would the Cowboys be in the eye of if they're not able to cover against the Giants tonight? Not just win, but cover. That is not a good Giants team. I know that they have Malik Neighbors. He's a fantasy football rock star. He is going to be one of the future stars of the Giants. I mean, he really is the best player on the Giants right now. It's Dexter Lawrence, and then it's Malik Neighbors. But I don't think that should be enough to hold off a Cowboys team who are supposed to have 3 megastars in Dak Prescott, Ceedee Lamb, and Micah Parsons, and then a bunch of guys around him that are currently apparently all in. Because that's what Jerry Jones said. He's the GM. He's the one that built the team, and those are the guys he put around them. C-Cat, what team would you say right now is in much of a panic, right? Is in as thick of a storm as the Cowboys would be in if they're the first team to fall in Week 4 tonight, which is not even just a possibility. You said it's the most likely scenario based on what we've seen in the NFL so far.
There's a team out there that you might think I'm crazy when I say this, but I look at the numbers and I look at the health of this team, and I think the San Francisco 49ers got to be careful, man, because no CMC, right? Like, you cannot guarantee that he's going to play football this year.
No.
You don't send somebody to exactly. You do not send somebody overseas for an injury that there is a clear path to recovery this season. So no CMC. Brandon Ayuk has been a shell of himself after holding out for so long. in the preseason, and Debo's hurt, Greg Kittle's hurt, and you got to stack wins. This early in the season, everybody's trying to figure things out, but if you're trying to figure things out and you're not healthy, then you're going to have to figure things out later in the season when everybody else has already dotted the I's and crossed the T. The 49ers right now are tied for last in their division. Seahawks are 3-0. That's the Cardinals, the Rams, the Niners all at 1-2. I'm afraid for the 49ers in 2024.
I called it this offseason. I said I don't have the Niners making the playoffs. I said they're more likely to miss the playoffs than they are to return to the Super Bowl. We saw what happened in 2019 when they fell to the Chiefs. The very next year, they finished last in the NFC West. They had a Super Bowl hangover. It happens to the best of them. It's tough to get that close to your ultimate goal, something you've been dreaming of since you were 3-4 years old, and fall short, and then have to come back the next year, and you got guys in contract years. You got other guys that are getting re-upped, and you're not. Brandon Ayuk had to fight all the way to the finish line. Trent Williams had to fight all the way to the finish line to get paid. Brock Purdy is going to be up for pay in January. When you have that many guys that are going to inevitably have that disease of me that Pat Riley talks about so eloquently that seeps into championship contending teams, and rightfully so because it's the NFL. It's not for long. You have to strike while the iron is hot. That many guys playing for me, they had a lot of good injury luck last year, and the Niners are not known for that. That same injury luck, that regression is starting to hit right now. I don't wish it on Kyle Shanahan and the Niners, but it felt obvious to me that they would be the team to disappoint in the NFC. And so far, I'm a little spot on. You're right, though, that it's not over with for them, right? What are they? Are they 1-2 or 2-1?
1-2.
Oh, they are 1-2. They lost to the Vikings and the Rams.
Yes.
And after that Vikings loss, I would say one thing that's very disheartening if you're a fan of the Niners, whenever your starting quarterback, the guy you're thinking about paying $50 million plus a year come January, is approaching the defensive coordinator of the other team after the game, talk about, bro, your schemes are crazy. Bro, hey, you really called that game? Like, that is a bad sign.
That's like a girlfriend or wife laughing really hard about another guy's jokes.
Oh.
That's tough.
That's
really tough.
Imagine if you're Kyle Shanahan and you had to watch that back, because it was all over Twitter. I know Kyle Shanahan saw that. Your quarterback, which your organization is thinking about extending for a 5-year contract, probably $200+ million, $180 million guaranteed, and he's going up to another man who he called those schemes against you. He's the one that coached you. He's the one that drafted you last in the draft. He's the one that believed in you and put you in that position. And right after the game, he's going up to the dude that outschooled you and was like, bro, you are insane with that pen.
And you saw that from 2 weeks ago. From last week, I saw another example of Shanahan collapsing in late game situations.
Man.
They had no business losing that game in regulation, the 49ers did, and they found a way to lose that game in regulation to the Rams.
Can't have that.
And that is the one bugaboo we talk about with this 49ers team before they really got hit with the injury bug, before the season began. Is it really just a Shanahan coaching thing that might keep them out of a Super Bowl win? We've seen them get there a couple times now. We've seen that offense look like a buzzsaw. The defense looked real strong. But when it came down to it, late game situations, twice against Mahomes, it is the head coach situation that has been kind of holding them back.
It has been. By the way, did Dean Thomas just come and pat you on the back in the middle of you talking there, making a point?
I didn't see what happened.
I saw Dean Thomas pop up. If you're watching the YouTube stream at Theo Speaking here, Dean Thomas, who is obviously the Mr. UFC as well as Mr. Other Things I can't say here on the air. He just dropped a bag off there by you.
Is it a gift?
I don't know if it's a gift or if it was just a let you know he's here early. Smell it. Yeah, take a smell at that bag. See if it's been used before.
It doesn't smell new, but it doesn't smell used.
Okay, well, then maybe that's your bag. Dean Thomas just gifted C-Cat right in the middle of his take there on the 49ers. Maybe he loves your 49ers take so much that our guy Dean Thomas, who's pulling up with us for the happy hour with Tina later on, just dropped off a nice UFC gift there.
It's got his name on it.
It's got a Dean Thomas logo on it or his name?
His name.
Is it stitched on it?
No.
It's on a tag.
Yes.
Cut the tag off, bro. It's yours.
Nice.
Yeah, that's yours. That's how that works. Also, yours, potentially, if you stick around long enough today on a Thursday, we're going to debut something. It's the Take It to the House trivia. It could be yours. You can get $50 worth of the House West Palm gift cards if you pick the right guy. Mm-hmm. If you pick the right guy, it's going to be me versus C-Cat. We'll do that trivia contest later on. We're also going to have, of course, and I need y'all's takes on this. Which athlete would you have, or which athlete do you regret not seeing them in their prime, not seeing them in person because on the cusp of Derrick Rose announcing his retirement in ChatGPT form? We have to discuss that. Before we get to that other side, CCat, we talked about this hurricane that's coming in. Have you actually? You said you have not done a hurricane watch party yet.
No, just me and the girlfriend bunkering up. That's all we did.
Well, I will tell you this. As a kid, I had a hurricane watch party that was so epic. I mean, that we literally ended up on the national news. My debut on national television came because of a hurricane watch party. When I was in middle school, we had a bunch of family that lived in a city that was about to get struck by a hurricane. But like the week heading up, you know how every time there's like a category 2, 3 hurricane about to approach, nobody's really in panic. They're thinking everybody's kind of hyping it. So they waited. And then about a day or two before the hurricane was going to strike, the news started getting a little bit more hefty. And then out of nowhere, we got like 40, 50 family members driving over to our crib just to stay for a night, just to do a little hurricane watch party, right? Because they realized it was going to be something they had to evacuate for. There was a mandatory evacuation in the city. So everybody comes through. We all get together. We're watching the hurricane watch party together. We're kind of having fun. We're playing games. Not Taboo. I don't think Taboo was out back then. I was in middle school. But we're having a good time. We're watching the news, wall-to-wall coverage. And the mood of the watch party just started to deteriorate, hour after hour, minute after minute. Because as we're watching the news, we're looking and we're like, oh, my God. Like, this is actually, like, scarier than we thought. And we're watching the live reports. We're looking at people sitting on their roofs. We're looking at the flooding continuing to increase and how ugly it was getting. C-Cat, it was a Hurricane Katrina watch party.
Oh.
Most of my family is from New Orleans. It was devastating, and that's the thing. I was a kid. I was in middle school. We had no clue what was going on. We're having a good time. We're vibing. I got all my cousins over here. We're kicking it. It was a Hurricane Katrina watch party. That watch party turned into, in our 2-story house in suburban Houston, Mo City, Texas, Southwest Houston, that turned into 47 people living in our house for the next 3 to 4 weeks. Plus, honestly, it just started to dissipate over, but they had no homes to go back to. Literally, everybody that came over from New Orleans to Houston had no home to go back to because it was all left in ruins. Remember, they called in the National Guard. They weren't even letting people re-enter New Orleans.
Wow.
There were no hotels in Houston. And here's how we ended up on the national news. Here's how I made my national news debut. My mom was at work. She worked in a medical center in Houston, in the VA, and she gets a call from CNN out of nowhere. And they're like, hey, we're on the way to your house right now. We want to do a story on you because we heard you have 17 people registered for school in the Fort Bend Independent School District. And they thought, the school district thought we were running a sham there. Because when you have 17 kids under one address, you're like, is this a football team y'all are trying to get through to Dulles High School? Y'all trying to win state? Like, what the hell is going on here? But then they put 2 and 2 together. There's a bunch of New Orleans kids that came over. So CNN comes over to do a story. They're thinking, okay, it's like 25, 30 people in this house. They realize there's 47 people crammed into this 2-story house. It's only a 5-bedroom house. I say 47 people. It's not like it's mostly kids. It's a lot of adults in this situation. And literally, I was on TV giving them a tour of the house. I was jumping on my my favorite Christmas gift of all time was this trampoline I had. I was jumping on the trampoline, showing my stuff off. And the big quote that I had on CNN was, it's like the family vacation that never ended.
Wow. You coined that. Do you have that on tape somewhere?
We don't even have it on tape because it was like 2005. So like I think we had a copy of it, and at this point it's gone. But it was absolutely insane. It was one of the weirdest parts of my life because now looking back on it, I didn't realize how stressful of a situation that was for my parents.
Right.
It was just a big-ass party for me.
Mm-hmm.
We were kicking it. And shout out to my Uncle Scotty, who was doing a lot of the cooking. I mean, imagine, you got 47 people in one house for over a month. You're cooking around the clock. The electric bill was insane in Houston in late August / September. It was an ugly sleeping situation. There's like 4, 5, 6 people to each room. You had the game room, the living room, the bedrooms. They had 2 people sleeping in the garage.
Where was your sleeping situation?
I was in my room in a bunk bed or on an air mattress, but we had some of my girl cousins sleeping in my bed and my brother's bed. We shared a room at that time. So it was like 6 of us in one room. And that was like every day for more than a month. The kids that enrolled in school with me, it was funny because there was a weird conflict back in Houston. There was a huge feud between New Orleans kids and Houston kids because that's what happens when you, like, out of nowhere inject a bunch of New Orleans kids into a realm, like a lot of conflict. Where do I stand in that conflict? Because you trying to fight my cousin. You talking about y'all want to jump my cousin, and I'm like, well, look, I'm with them. It's crazy. It was crazy. But that was when I made my national TV debut. That's when I knew I wanted to be on TV one day, and I made it happen, C-Cat.
Amazing.
All right, we got to get